all of the ladies' eyes was on me. And I'm like, okay, looks like I'm the center of attention tonight. Guys, so this is part two of how being a Jamaican who speaks Spanish has worked in my favor. Like, share, and please leave a comment below. All right, guys, so remember I'm dressed now, I'm dressed, and I don't remember what time the dinner was. It probably was 6 or 7, but let's say it was 7. I made sure to get to the resort early, right? And so I got to the resort, and security, they were waiting for me, right? Because remember, the GM had made the arrangements for me to be present there to have dinner with the guests, right? So got to the security and went through the gate with no issues. And I made my way down to the beach because that was where the dinner was going to take place. So I made my way down to the beach. When I got there, from a distance, I could see the same gentleman that I had spoken to earlier, the same one who invited me to the dinner. I saw him on like a boardwalk, like right next to the beach. So I said, all right, I went over there, and as I approached and got closer, he saw me and he waved for me to come over. So I went right over there, and right away, he greeted me. I think there was a couple other people with him, and he introduced me to them, and he said, "Hey, this is the guy that I was telling you guys about. He's Jamaican. He speaks really good Spanish, and he's gonna be having dinner with us tonight." And they greeted me and they said, "Hey, we've heard a lot about you." And in my mind, I'm like, "A lot about me?" But I just meet the guy a few hours ago. How much could he have said about me in that short period of time? But I said, all right, fine, I'm there, and we had a little chat. Then the guy said to me, um, "I have something for you to do." I said, in my mind, I'm like, what could he want me to do now? Anyways, he said, you see those ladies? And he started to point over to the beach. "You see those ladies over there?" And like he would tell me the color dress that they were in, or one of them was in, right? And so I was looking exactly where he was pointing, and I noticed who he was pointing at. So he said to me, "You see them, those ladies?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I see them. I want for you to go over there. Listen to me clearly. I want you to go over there, and when you get there, I want you to talk to them only in Spanish." I said, "What is this?" I said, "What is this?" I said, "No problem, sir." He said, "Did you hear what I said?" I said, "I want you to go over to those ladies and talk to them only in Spanish." I said, "Well, no problem." No, I was nervous. I was nervous because I'm like, wow, you know, these ladies are some beautiful ladies. It was a group of them, probably about 6 of them or 7 of them. And I said, well, the guy said I should go over there and speak Spanish. And I'm not going to back down from this because I'm already in the situation. I announced myself as a Jamaican who speaks Spanish. So I have to continue with this, right? So, anyways, walked over to the beach. As I was approaching the ladies and got close to them, I said, "Hola." And the moment I said hola, they all came running over to me. "Oh my God, eres tú, it's you. Hemos escuchado tanto de ti. We've heard so much about you." And I'm like, I was there just, in shock. Because I'm like, in my mind, how could they have heard that much about me? I only just met the guy a few hours ago, and he told me to come and have dinner with them. So, anyways, I realized that the guy must have said a whole lot about them based on the encounter that he and I had. Anyways, it was like a buffet set up on the beach. There was music, and it was a Friday evening, and this is a usual thing on a Friday evening at that resort. So we were there, and the ladies pointed out an area where they had a table set up for us to have dinner. So the plan was to get our food from the buffet on the beach, and then make our way over to the table. Got our food from the buffet, went over the table, and we sat down. Everybody's eyes was on me. All of the ladies' eyes was on me. And I'm like, okay, looks like I'm the center of attention tonight, you know? But I didn't mind it. The ladies were beautiful, and it was me, the guy that introduced me, the guy that invited me to the dinner. I think there was one other guy. So it was about three guys, myself included in the men, and about 7 or 6 women, all of them from different Spanish speaking countries, from Mexico, Argentina, Colombia. There was a lady from Chile, and there was one lady from Brazil, but she also spoke Spanish. Anyways, I was there and we were having a conversation. Everybody was asking the question: ¿Cómo tú aprendiste español? How did you learn Spanish? Tú lo hablas tan bien. You speak it so good. And I'm like, I felt really good because I'm getting a lot of big ups then from these native speakers of Spanish. And I felt so good. I felt on top of the world, to be honest. Now, as I was there chatting with them, I noticed there were two bartenders walking by. I know they were bartenders because I remember I was at the resort. I had been at the resort working for some time now, probably a little over a month, and so I knew some of the staff. So I noticed they walked by the table, but they were walking slowly and they were listening to what we were saying. And um, they walked up for a distance and they were still close by, but they stopped. And one of them, I noticed he was heading back over to us, right? And he came right up to me and he said, "Bro, can I have a conversation? Excuse me, guys." He said, "Excuse me," to everybody. And he said, "Can I have a conversation with you? I just want to ask you something." And I said, "No problem." And I told the ladies that I would be back. I told everybody that I would be back. So I walked I walked off with him and the other bartender, and they said to me, "Bro, where you from?" I said, "I'm from Jamaica. I'm Jamaican, born Yardi." They said, "No, no, no, no. You can't be Jamaican and we hear you talking that level of Spanish with that level of speed. How is it possible?" At this point, I was like on top of the moon. I felt so good. Because remember, the native speakers of the language were bigging me up, and my fellow Jamaicans thought I was a Spanish speaker from a different from a Spanish speaking country. So you can imagine how excited I was. Then the bartender said to me, they said to me, "Bro, anything you want to drink, we're gonna make it for you and bring it to your table." Remember now, I had just started in hospitality. I didn't know anything about any drinks. I'm like a country boy coming from Clarendon. They said to me, "No worries, we're gonna make something special for you and bring it right over to your table." I said, "All right, surprise me." So I went back over to the table where everybody was and I sat down. And while I was there, they did bring me a nice drink over and a bottle of red wine. All right. And this is where it gets more interesting. I'm going to do a part 3